I think all of you are going to be very surprised in the very near future about what XRP does now that we have the ETFs eating through the OTC desk and the dark pool volume. There's not a whole lot left over there. My guess was there was somewhere between $1 billion and maybe up to $2 billion available on the OTC and dark pools. They've already eaten through about 800 million XRP here in just the first week from that. So that's either half or almost all of what was available on the OTC desk and the dark pools. As soon as that is gone, and we're getting more ETFs, more spot ETFs for XRP are launching, and we still don't have the big dogs at the table yet. We still don't have BlackRock, and we still don't have Vanguard, we still don't have Fidelity. I think they're all coming to the table in the very near future with their spot ETFs for XRP. So that would put, if those three came online, we would have more spot ETFs than Bitcoin. And people are like, well, they're only going to buy off the OTC and dark pools, and we're never going to see price appreciation. Strap in because it's not going to last that much longer. We already saw some price movement today. You're going to see some crazy price movement when there's no more available supply through the OTC desk and the dark pools, and they have to go to the exchanges. We already saw a glimmer of this over there on Kraken last week, where we saw XRP at a high of $91, which registered. There's been lots of high prices in the past on BitTrue and Bitstamp and some of these other ones where people video it. But like you go back to look for it and it's not registered. This $91 registered on Kraken.com. So look out. I think a lot of people are going to be very surprised that a lot of what I've been talking about for the past 18 months is going to come to pass here.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And yes, you read that title correct. A new spot XRP is set to go live. We are talking about the 21 shares XRP spot product this morning. This would be the 5th spot ETF to hit the American markets. I believe this one will be launching on the New York Stock Exchange, but we're going to cover those details later on in the episode. I've also got some really interesting sentiment indicators, guys, because once again, people are bearish. The markets are fearful, not here on the Good Evening Crypto community. And once again, I'm going to show you the liquidity indicators that are pointing to a bullish 2026, especially during the first 2 quarters. Now, this is best case scenario for people like ourselves, right? One thing I absolutely want to highlight is that if we don't get a euphoric moment in 2025, but instead it occurs in 2026, this is the bullish moment that our community will be willing to take advantage of. And I wanted to point out one other thing before we dive into today's episode. When you look at how Bitcoin's price action has been performing thus far, if we are creating a relative low here at 87,000 and we're getting ready for that next parabolic move upwards, we could see $140,000 Bitcoin. And that is something that nobody is talking about, nobody's keeping in mind, but we're going to cover some of those bullish sentiment and a lot of those indicators later on in the episode. We did already pass 1,100 live listeners, 712 watching on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, tomorrow is Turkey Day. Go out, touch some grass, hug some family, have a great day. I believe we're going to take the live off for tomorrow, but I will be publishing a 5:30 p.m. update for those who are interested. But I want to ask the live chat a quick question before we dive into the show. One's in chat, if you believe, just like Jake does, the supply shock is upon us. We are witnessing the OTC desk and the exchanges be drained as we speak. Two's in chat if you think this is going to be a much longer journey. My anticipation is the next 3 to 6 months, it will be a steady accumulation of XRP off American exchanges, eventually taking us to the supply shock moment that we have all been predicting. Now, there's a lot of ones in chat. There's some twos in chat. I'd say it's about an 80 to 20 ratio, but we are going to kick off today's episode with an XRP price chart analysis. Now, this was pretty cool. This guy's called the Chart Nerd. Sometimes he shows up on my timeline. While I was watching this video, and I found it to be great, and I thought it would be worth sharing on our channel because, again, the RSI, many of the indicators for XRP were turned bullish after we wicked down to $1.90. We were in oversold territory, and I tried to do the best I could to highlight that here on this channel. What I've seen for the XRP price chart is a steady support at $1.90. And even during that major liquidity event, not the one in October, but the one just a couple of days ago, XRP fell to about $1.80. No daily closures at those prices, $1.88, $1.92, Buyers are here and ready to accumulate this asset, and the price chart is finally pointing in the other direction. So with that major pullback behind us, let's break down some of the sentiment on the XRP price chart and how these are the most oversold levels we have seen since 2020. You're hearing that correct. Here it is.
Within this 12-month accumulation and what it could mean for price action if we hold above the $1.90 multi-month base. Fourthly, should I say, we have a weekly stock RSI, which is oversold, okay? And these are the typical areas that XRP likes to see a bounce. So within the 12-month accumulation range, there's been 2 times. This is only the second time in history, do forgive me, within this 12-month accumulation range, the XRP has actually created a golden cross. Okay, so as of this week, XRP has printed a golden cross on its weekly stock RSI. The last time this signal printed was back in April 2025, which, believe it or not, was actually where the local low was placed. Okay, so when we actually formed the golden cross, in fact, it was a week later after placing the low. So very similarly to what we've done here. Last week, we placed the local low at $1.80, which was pretty much near enough identical to the lows of April. And within doing so, a week later, we formed a golden cross. So this is a good signal, okay? It shows oversold. It shows we've got a, bullish momentum because of the cross and being in this sort of territory. And last time the signal printed, XRP placed that local low roughly around $1.63, and it ran up to $3.60 in a 128% move.
Boom. And that's what we're anticipating here for the XRP community. Now, I've been very transparent about this. The XRP versus Bitcoin pairing is on the precipice of breaking out. We're really almost there, guys. And I've been covering this for you for several weeks since we had this massive doji candle here. But what's most relevant about the Bitcoin and XRP pairing is that this is the decoupling moment that we've been waiting for with these ETF issuers live. And now we have this real world demand consistently being applied to the XRP price chart. We are set to see some real momentum here. And I've highlighted this on several different occasions, but I want to touch it just one more time at the beginning of the episode. When you look at the XRP price chart on the weekly time frame, it's obvious. We're creating higher lows. And even during this massive liquidation event from last week, we didn't end up closing the week below $2. We closed the week out at $2.02. And you guys will remember during my Sunday morning update, as well as the one I put out in the afternoon, I said if we got that daily closure above $2, this is a bullish indicator. We could see another move back up to about 265, back test this relative high here, and finally break out. And that's what I'm most excited about. It is the next 6 weeks of price action that are going to determine how well does XRP do here in 2025. And with everybody becoming overly bearish, there is a lot of bullish indicators that are now working in our favor. I'm going to play you guys another video here. So this is a guy I like to follow, Dan Gambardello. Not pronouncing that correctly. I'd love to have him on the show, but he does some phenomenal analysis on the liquidity that actually affects the crypto cycle. So people out there think it's a 4-year narrative based on the Bitcoin halving. The data tells a different story. And that's why I'm constantly playing Raul Paulo on this channel, because he follows that same sentiment, which is it's the liquidity cycles and the interest rates that define what happens in the crypto market, not the 4-year Bitcoin halving. And this guy makes a great case as to how all these liquidity indicators are flashing bullish as we head into December. Here it is.
A lot of people are calling for a bear market right now, and there is a possibility that they might be making the biggest macro mistake of the cycle. Here's what I think they might be missing. We just hit the longest manufacturing contraction streak on record, 26 consecutive months. The reverse repo facility has drained from $2.5 trillion to basically zero. And on December 1st, just days away, the Fed officially ends quantitative tightening. 3 massive liquidity shifts, all converging right now, all pointing in the same direction. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the Fed net liquidity indicator, the single chart that connects all of this, and why the data is telling a completely different story than what all the fear is showing. So hit the subscribe.
So that's what I wanted to show you guys. And you guys can go and check out the long form video. But again, all of these liquidity indicators are flashing bullish right now. And when you listen to your friends, the people who just got into this space, maybe people who even consider themselves to be crypto experts, everybody is calling for a bear market. And that leads me to be more bullish. I would rather be a contrarian than sell into this bearish momentum, step out of this space, and watch these assets outperform towards the end of the year. We did just pass 2,000 live listeners. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. Now, I want to remind you guys, Johnny Krypto will be joining this show in just a couple of minutes. So if you're excited about that, stick around. Johnny Krypto is going to be tapping in during this episode. But this illustration, we're not going to play the actual video because I've got other content to get into. But this illustration that was shared by Anthony Pompliano highlights perfectly where we are today. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index during the FTX collapse reached a bottom of 12. We are 3 basis points lower than that as we speak, with Bitcoin trading at about $90,000. During the FTX collapse, when the Extreme Fear and Greed Index was at a 12, the Bitcoin price was 20 grand. Now we're lower than that at $90,000. And we can use another example of this. During the COVID crash, Bitcoin reached as low as $3,500, and the Fear and Greed Index reached as low as an 11. So we are lower right now from a fear standpoint than we were during the COVID crisis. That goes to show people are not tapped in to just how this market is going to be moving here. And the fact that retail investors are selling, exiting this asset class, they're very negative on social media. If you guys are scrolling on social media, we're very isolated in this community. We have a lot of optimists. We have a lot of long-term investors. Short-term traders, quite frankly, are ticked off. They're frustrated by the fact that these assets haven't outperformed at the back end of the year. But the reality is we are set to see a bullish 2026. And that's why I've been so consistent about the Raul Paul videos on this show. Now, I do have one more clip that I wanted to play for you all, not the Donald Trump clip. I'm going to show you Coinbase, head of digital assets. Here it is, talking about how Bitcoin at $87,000 is the opportunity that we've been waiting for. And he highlights this in a very clear manner. That again, retail investors are getting this wrong, and my computer's freezing on me, of course, if this thing will ever load for you guys. But what's happening here is retail investors are once again getting it wrong, while institutions are doubling down on this asset class. And yes, XRP investors, they're excited because of ETFs. But if you look at some of these other projects, Grayscale just filed for a Zcash ETF yesterday. Dogecoin had their ETF product for Grayscale go live on Monday. All these things are starting to come to fruition. And although it's definitely going to impact XRP, we've got a bigger picture and a bigger narrative that we're focused on. Other altcoin investors shouldn't be as fearful as they are. That's my sentiment. That's my belief. And I'm standing by that as we head into 2026. This is the head of strategy at Coinbase, and he presents an incredibly bullish case for Bitcoin at $87,000. Not to mention, and we're going to talk about this, Texas just bought $10 million worth of Bitcoin yesterday. So this video is from yesterday. We're going to play this brief clip. Coinbase describing why is Bitcoin bullish at 87K? Here it is.
Nothing's really changed since the all-time high. If we just step back and think about structurally, in fact, you can argue the news coming out about Citibank, JP Morgan, both leveraging stable coins at a huge scale. The Czechoslovakian National Bank has come out and announced they will be the first Eurozone country to purchase Bitcoin for the Treasury. Clarifying rules from the IRS. Harvard Endowment announcing they own more Bitcoin than gold. All of those things are structurally very, very positive. From the exchange point of view, we're not seeing a massive increase in open interest in our futures market. CME, you can check it yourself. I was always taught early on, a declining price market accompanied by a rapidly declining open interest means the market is breaking down structurally. People are exiting the market forever. When I look at Bitcoin, I see the number of active Bitcoin wallets roughly the same as it was 3 months ago. I see both CME and Coinbase futures open interest, again, ticking down a little bit, but not nearly in line with price direction. And so I go back to the very, very basic principle of if I like apples, I don't like them less because they're on sale. And so if you like this asset, you like it more. If you don't like this asset, if you've never liked this asset, you now have the microphone for a few months or a few weeks, we'll see how long, and enjoy that moment.
There you have it, guys. And this is one of the reasons that I think retail investors are getting this moment wrong. And I think that the fact that Coinbase is admitting this, it tells you we are going to see major momentum in this price chart. And it's not just about Bitcoin. This is going to be great for the altcoins as well. But retail investors are tapped out. They're exiting this market. And I want to give a massive thank you to a member and a $50 donation here, Sirius Lee. He said, Abs, the name is Sirius Lee. Now seriously lock in and watch this market flip on its head in 2026. 2026, my friend. Stacks on stacks, long racks. Shout out to you for that $50 donation. You made my morning, guys. And one of the reasons that I'm so optimistic, once again, is because our community is here for the long term. this market is going to appreciate in value. And I wanted to point out a major detail. So the title of today's episode, so I want to give a huge shout out and thank you once again to Seriously. Seriously, that's his name. That's pretty funny. Shout out to you, my friend. You made my morning. Thank you for the $50 donation, of course. And I want to give a huge shout out to the surfer, Joseph Ray, the official surfer of the Good Evening Crypto community and a member here. Happy Thanksgiving, Abs, Johnnies, and your family. Thank you for all your hard work. It's my birthday on Sunday. How about a birthday shout out? Well, here's what I promise you, Joseph Ray. In the members only update on Sunday, you're going to get a birthday shout out as well. But shout out to you. Your best years are in front of you as an XRP investor. That's something that I say all the time. We're lucky enough to be in this space. Nobody knows what the future holds, but the future looks bright, my friends. And that's what I'm most excited about. I do want to give another shout out to Chad Keck, the daily donations. This guy has donated every day, 2 weeks in a row. Shout out to you and thank you for the $5 and a membership. Daily donations. Let's keep watching the positive news. Well, I've got more positive news that I'm going to break down because, again, the title of today's episode is we got another XRP ETF set to go live. Here is what I'm talking about. Just this morning, 21 Shares tweeted out this, and it got over 1.4 million impressions in just a few hours here. XRP Army, get ready with the salute emoji. And I apologize, my laptop is moving slowly this morning for some reason, but the tweet says, XRP Army, get ready with the salute emoji. And my anticipation is we are going to get the XRP ETF spot product for 21 Shares trading live in the American markets, probably before the end of next week. We're also going to see other products go live. So if you're newer to the channel, we've been covering this for a very long time. There is a dozen different companies that have filed 19 different XRP ETF products. Now, so far, Bitwise, you can check off this list. They're live, $5 billion in assets under management. Canary Capital, check it off the list, $200 million here. Grayscale, $40 billion, check that off the list. Franklin Templeton, check that off the list. Now, here are some giants that are still yet to have their products approved. Wisdom Tree, which has $113 billion in assets under management. I just showed you 21 Shares, which put out that ominous quote unquote XRP tweet. They have $7 billion in assets under management. There are some huge companies that are yet to have these products approved. Hashdex is $1 billion, Volatility Shares $5 billion, Coin Shares $5 billion, and Pro Shares $70 billion. They filed and yet to have their products live and trading in the American markets. If you're enjoying this content, guys, smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We got our special guest, Johnny Krypto, the Italian stallion, joining in the background. He's giving me the finger, not the middle finger, but he's giving me the 1 minute emoji over there. So shout out to Johnny. We're going to have him joining very soon. I'd like to hear from you guys. Are you optimistic about the price of XRP? One's in chat for yes, two's in chat for no, because I want to hear. You look at sentiment on social media, it's very negative. You come onto our show, we have positive, realistic investors here, long-term investors, and that's why I love our community. You guys are the best community in all of crypto, and that's not just because Johnny Krypto's handsome face. That's because of every single one of you who shows up every day. Now, thank you so much to Stone and Land for the $20 donation and a membership. Huge appreciation to you, my friend. You're here very consistently. Now, there are some ones, there are some twos. I think it's over. A lot of people are saying one. Shout out to Allie in chat as well. The Litecoin whale, as I like to call you, with her one Litecoin. But if you're enjoying this content, just a quick reminder, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, we're live every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern. We already passed 400 likes on the show. And trust me, we're going to start breaking down our most exciting content for you guys as well. As Johnny Krypto is just gearing up, and I've got some more great stuff that we're going to talk about. But guys, I do want to hear from you. The question, I got a little sidetracked there. The question that I was building up to, one's in chat if you agree. 21 Shares will be launching their XRP spot product before the end of next week. Two's in chat if you think they're just playing with the engagement here. They just want the engagement from the XRP community. No shame on them. And I did want to give you one other update here, guys. This morning, Paul Barron was on the Patrick Bet David podcast. I watched a lot of it. They didn't talk a whole lot about crypto, quite frankly, and they definitely didn't talk about XRP from what I saw. But that's pretty cool that Paul Barron was sitting down with Patrick Bet David on his morning show. They had 25,000 live viewers. Again, this industry is mainstream. We're not some niche small market anymore. We're with the big boys, and that's why the big boys are probably going to file. Now, somebody said, Abs, the BlackRock XRP ETF, or using more for tokenization. What do I think? I fall into the tokenization category. I'm going to be totally transparent about that. I think if BlackRock wanted to make a whole bunch of money on the XRP ETF narrative, they probably would have just filed first. And they probably would have done hundreds of millions worth of day one volume. So that would be my take on that situation. Also, Matthew in chat said, Johnny Krypto. Let me just mute the mic. Happy Thanksgiving, Abs. God bless you and your family. Thanks for everything you do for everyone in this community. Well, thank you, Matt, for being here every single day. Thank you to all of our listeners. Remember what the end goal is for this show. We want to make money together. We want to be proven correct with a lot of our predictions. And Johnny, I think there's really only one way. So we're going to break down a new clip you haven't seen yet. But first of all, how are you feeling this morning? Thank you for being here. And listen, a lot of negativity, not on this show. I promise you that.
I'm not surprised, but good morning to all the crypto maniacs out there. I love and appreciate you guys for showing up every single day. And Abs, listen, you just got to look at it as just a blip. It's another just bump in the road as we continue to go on. For people who know what they hold, they're not worried. I've talked to a lot of XRP warriors, holders who are sitting there and they're like, hey, I know what I got. I don't care. They're just going through it just like you and I are. And then you got that second set of group that, yeah, they are nervous because I think they got in it with the wrong intentions or had, this thing of get rich quick scheme. I'm going to put some money in right now. It's going to go up. I'm hearing all this news about ETFs and then nothing happens. And they're like, oh, crap, what's going on? And then the whole market's crashing. Listen, that's buongiorno, Ladio, by the way, buongiorno. But at the end of the day, yeah, Abs, I'm excited about the future and where it's going. I don't really think that there's a lot to worry about right now. There's still more upside and more catalysts coming to kind of transform this market. And by the way, the company that's behind the coin we own, they're flush with billions of dollars of cash in buying companies. They're going to grow the ecosystem either way. So for me, it's just a patience. It's just a patience game at this point in time. You showed all the catalysts. You've been showing that beautiful looking chart. I mean, talk about that chart right there. Who's got a wisp? You, me? I don't know what he's talking about. But anyway, look at that beautiful $2 bait. There is somebody or organizations or institutions that don't want to see this thing drop below $2. You can clearly see it right there on the chart. So for me, I look at it at the end of the day, is that we're just going in the right place. And now you just got to be patient and have time and let it happen.
Well, guys, or I should say, Johnny, Sirius Lee commented and said, now it's time to lock in and watch this market flip on its head. This is an earlier donation, but I thought it was so funny because this guy changed his name to Sirius Lee. So shout out to him. $50 donation. You made my morning, my friend, as well as all the others. We appreciate each and every single one of you guys. But Johnny Krypto, I'm going to show you the clip that you are yet to have seen and react to here on this channel. We're going to break down the Jake Claver supply shock. And then I'm going to show you guys the most interesting topic for today, which, believe it or not, is not this video. So I'm going to leave that kind of, engagement to get you to stick around. I'm going to leave it because, trust me, it is worth it. But we're going to start off with this Jake Claver video. Then we'll get into our major topic for today.
I think all of you are going to be very surprised in the very near future about what XRP does now that we have the ETFs eating through the OTC desk and the dark pool volume. There's not a whole lot left over there. My guess was there was somewhere between $1 billion and maybe up to $2 billion available on the OTC and dark pools. They've already eaten through about 800 million XRP here in just the first week from that. So that's either half or almost all of what was available on the OTC desk in the dark pools. As soon as that is gone, and we're getting more ETFs, more spot ETFs for XRP are launching, and we still don't have the big dogs at the table yet. We still don't have BlackRock, and we still don't have Vanguard. We still don't have Fidelity. I think they're all coming to the table.
So, Johnny, there's another minute of this clip, but that's a great point to kind of pause and give you a chance to comment there. Now, here's my big take. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. I don't think you did, actually. The guy deleted this tweet. Not what I showed you with Jake. There was a Van Eyck, I always pronounce this Van Eyck, whatever it is. Their CEO came on Twitter and said, if XRP is a foundational, pillar of people's crypto portfolios, then why has Fidelity and BlackRock decided to not launch an ETF? Now, XRP community came guns blazing. He removed the tweet, but I think it's a valid question, right? One of the things that we know for sure is that XRP right now does not have a BlackRock filing, does not have a Fidelity filing. And for some reason, these big companies have chosen to stay on the sidelines. We can speculate on that. Now, what I love about Jake's sentiment is that he's predicting these big players, they're coming. He thinks BlackRock will end up filing. He said that definitively during our interview. Now, he also thinks some things like $100 by the end of the year, that we differ on. I also kind of think, and listen, I got to be transparent because I want Jake to be right. But if BlackRock was going to file for an XRP ETF, I think they would have taken advantage of the first mover advantage, which is what they know better than me and you, Johnny, if me and you can figure that stuff out, of course, the smartest people on the world, the most influential financial players can figure out the first mover advantage. And let me just indulge in this. Like, if BlackRock had initially launched the first ever spot XRP ETF product, dude, we would have saw probably $700 million worth of day one volume. I really believe that. And you're probably going to agree too. I don't think you'll disagree there. Big thank you to the Low Bad YouTuber. Shout out to you for the $10 and the membership and the great username. Happy Thanksgiving, Abs and Johnny. Love you both. Thanks for everything. And happy Thanksgiving to the chat. Christ is King. God bless you all. Be patient. Our time will come. Stay calm, my friends. Christ is King, baby. But Johnny Krypto, floor is yours. What are some of your thoughts on Van Eyck and BlackRock sitting out, but this massive demand could have been utilized?
Well, I go back to what we were talking about, I think it was a couple of days ago, where we definitely know that there are certain organizations or companies in the world that feel like Ripple and the XRP technology is a threat. And I don't have no inside information here, but it's just mind-boggling that the three biggest ones who are, especially BlackRock, all over Bitcoin ETF, right? Wanted to be the first to get it out there, made it happen. We know how that worked. They were carrying the flag on that charge, and on this one, they're not. And it makes me wonder, is there something behind the scenes that we don't understand? Is there a connection there, with the banking system that maybe they don't want to, I don't know. We don't know the answer. It is just mind-boggling to me that they wouldn't want to be involved in the third. They were involved in the first two largest cryptos, creating the ETFs for Ethereum and Bitcoin. And yet the third one, you're like, oh, we're not going to touch that one. It's too small. Really? Really? It's too small? Like, it's the third largest one. It's got a massive community. So I agree, Abs. There's something that just to me, doesn't sit right. I don't know why they're not interested. It doesn't make sense. And the other thing that doesn't make interesting sense to me is, people say, oh, they're going to come later. Well, why would they want to come when the price is higher? And I agree with Jake, by the way, as the ETFs are coming out and they're eating up. We said that we talked about this on the show the other day. I think the benefit of the ETFs isn't so much the price appreciation right now, but it's the fact that it's eating up the supply and taking them out. Don't get me wrong. There's outflows too a little bit, but there's going to be a ton more inflows right now as this thing is brand new. And so from that perspective, the good news is those are eating up the supply. Now, all it takes is a very small, eventually when you get most of that supply out, what Jake's trying to say is that it only takes a small amount to kind of move the price. It's almost like an elastic band being stretched. And the more you take off supply, the more you're stretching. Eventually, you're going to let it go, and that son of a bitch is going to go flying. And I feel like that's what we're setting up for. Now, man, if BlackRock did decide to come in, boy, with minimum supply, do you want to talk about a supply shock that you ain't seen before? That certainly could be.
Wait, Johnny, explain that, because you've done it off air for me. Tell people why BlackRock is different than any of these other companies.
Well, I mean, let's just look at it from a perspective. First of all, when you're a large asset manager like they are, they have connections, right? They get their whole network of everybody pumping and dumping, humping and rumming, and they're bringing in, everybody's on the phone, and they're getting things happening behind the scene to bring in lots of money, because they're going to be selling as, hey, we're going to make you guys a lot of money on this thing, just like they did with Bitcoin. And so I think they just have a bigger network. When you're a $10 trillion company versus a 200 million, you got a lot more pull in the game. You're the 800-pound gorilla, right? So you have the ability to bring in and draw lots more money. You have the ability to maybe bring institutions, other things behind the scene that we don't necessarily understand that helps drive volume up. At the end of the day, it's all about liquidity. But we've seen that happen with Bitcoin. And so to me, yeah, something like that. I like rhymes. But anyway, sometimes the words don't always might not be the best choice. But the reality is that's what you get when you watch a show. You get true uncensored material here. But to me, Abs, I think in the long run, if the other guys come, or just if more ETFs continue to come, at a certain point in time, as Jake talked about, when that supply is kind of eaten up and gone, it takes a lot less money to move things. But you have to work through that first, right? And right now, that's where the impatience is, because I think everybody thought going into this, even Jake, all thought that, hey, the price was going to go up when these things came. And that didn't happen. And it's because I don't think we all understood that there's just a massive chunk of supply that needs to get removed first. And somehow with BlackRock and Bitcoin, that didn't seem to be the issue as much, versus here we are today with that. So I just look at it as this is good, Abs. Right now, all these ETFs, the way I'm thinking about it is they're just priming the pump. They're priming that son of a bitch up. They're getting it ready. And then it only takes less news or less, liquidity event to drive this thing up at a certain point in time. And don't believe me, just look at the chart. Even the chart is showing the thing. Look at that thing. It's like it comes out $2, $2, $2, and it's just going and going. And there is something there holding it there. Well, what happens when the supply goes away? That $2 becomes $2.40, and then it becomes $2.60, and then it becomes right, and we start moving up. So that's how I'm playing it, and I'm looking at it. So that's why I'm not disappointed in all the price actions. I know a lot of people are. Everybody's down on Twitter, but listen, everybody's down in the whole market, right? Fear and greed index is piss poor right now. And guys, to be honest with you, Abs, you know this, right? I bought a shit ton of crypto this past week. To me, this was a great buying opportunity, a great buy the dip. We saw both Bitcoin and XRP kind of hit either the 6.8 or 0.786 retracement levels. Those are very good opportunities if you're buying in, if you're looking for areas to DCA in. Like I said, I don't know where the bottom is. So I'm always trying to just DCA in and kind of get as close to the bottom as I can. But because we don't know where the top of the bottom is, the only way to do it is step it in. And for me, I thought this was a very good price point this weekend to do that. And I think a lot of other people are doing that too. So now it's just, man, we just wait, my friend. I have a feeling December, January, November, for some reason, I got this good feeling it's going to be like the end of 2020 all over again, but we'll see.
You know, what's cool is that Raul Paul, in a lot of ways, he agrees with that same sentiment, Johnny, that people are overly down. People are overly focused on the bear market. And I feel like it's a lot of newer investors, right? It's the newer investors that are frustrated. If somebody was here during 2021, they kind of recognized the opportunity that we're getting here for a lot of these assets to be purchased at lower prices than they were trading at just a couple of months ago. We did just pass 5,000 live listeners. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. We appreciate each and every single one of you. And this is the major topic that I wanted to show you guys. So Johnny hasn't seen this either. Cody Carbone says more U.S. states are preparing to allow tax payments in XRP. Now, why is this so relevant? If the U.S. government is accepting XRP, we're only one step away from creating a treasury with that XRP. And that's what we're going to talk about next, guys. Here's Paul Barron and Cody Carbone talking about this.
To see this at the state level as well. I mean, we've already talked about the municipal bonds in New Hampshire. I think you're going to see more states start to replicate this. Can you pay your state and local taxes through Bitcoin, through XRP, through Ethereum? I think this is going to be, it's a copycat government system. Well, it'll be huge.
Okay, so that's the clip. I'm going to play the longer form one now to you guys. Here's the long form analysis of this. Here it is.
You signed 2 bills this year. So then, of course, you got the New York operations up there trying to allow state agencies to accept cryptocurrencies. So that would be something. Is this a growing thing at the state level? Can you share anything?
It's a movement. I think every state is sitting there and seeing there are benefits to digital assets, whether we issue municipal bonds backed by Bitcoin like we saw in New Hampshire, or we issue licensing bills to provide clarity that the federal government is not providing right now to token issuers or to platforms. There is a growing interest at the state level to become hubs for digital asset companies. They are viewing this like it was the .com boom of the early 2000s, that every state in the country wanted to find a way to bring in talent that were helping develop and build the internet. We're seeing it now on the digital asset side. It is.
So I love that, Johnny, because you know what? It's so funny. It's just a quick reminder, guys. Money makes the world go round, especially in America. Why are these states now opening their economies to crypto companies? Because they realize those companies are here to stay and they're going to make a ton of money and they want that tax revenue. Pretty simple, kind of the big moment that we've all been waiting for. I did miss one live donation, so I never want to miss a donation on this. So seriously, membership and back with a $10 dono. Abs and Johnny, for every donation you receive, I'll match purchasing an XRP and I'll post a daily running allocation chart showing the inflows, profits and losses and percentages. Let's see what kind of bag we can create by January 1st. I like that idea. Let's make our man seriously have to buy a whole lot of XRP. I love that. But Johnny, I don't want to get sidetracked there. I want you to kind of respond to the video as well and whatever else is on your mind.
Yeah, listen, Abs, I remember when I used to be an elected official, one of the things we looked for is you're looking for like stable, long-term maturity bonds, right? You want bonds that are, are going to protect the money. That's what, or a lot of times we look into invest, they collect a lot of money, right? And they want to invest it until they spend it. You're talking the great thing about that, Abs, is towns and municipals, when you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that their budgets could be, you start getting a bunch of towns and even states putting in, you could just see massive amount of monies. Yes, I was an elected official a long time ago. I was a councilman a long time ago. But anyway, the point being, so I got a little bit of everything here, a little experience in everything. So I can tell you that we were looking for stable things that can earn us a decent amount of interest. Now, towns are hearing No, not anymore. But towns are hearing, hey, this digital asset thing is new, and Bitcoin's averaging, sailors telling the world it's 30% on average. Towns are happy making 4%. Could you imagine 30? So it doesn't surprise me that at the end of the day, we're actually looking at towns wanting to get a piece of this. Of course they do. They want to be able to grow that capital so they don't have to put as big of a tax burden on the actual civilians, right? They don't want to raise taxes. Of course they have to. So Abs, that could be another whole trend. And by the way, it's not K for Kamal. It's K for crypto. Get your facts right. But I love you guys anyway. But dude, anyway, going back to it, this is another, we were talking about the other day, like ETFs is a flood. It's another way to kind of come in and take supply off the market. Dude, if towns come in, they ain't buying and sell it. They're coming in and they're holding until they're ready to use the money. So they're going to hold it longer. So again, it creates another form of stability and takes more supply off. It would be awesome if we start, and I think we will start to see more of that. What would be great is if a couple of these companies, right, create a basket of these, right, a basket ETF that has like an XRP, an ETF, and a Grayscale kind of has that already, but we see more of those. Those could be something more prominent, like a digital asset basket. I think we will see that. I think Wall Street's smart. They will create municipal, funds that municipals will be safe. If I were a company, Abs, right now, hearing that kind of seeing the trend, I'd be creating products right now that I'd be going and selling to towns, because that you're going to get a lot more from a town than you're going to get from a retailer, right? Town may spend, whatever. Hundreds of millions of dollars they could potentially invest in this thing. So that's it in a nutshell. I totally see that trend happening, and it's another thing that just brings more, catalysts. And by the way, you heard him talk about it, right? He said, oh, by the way, they were doing that in 96, 97 boom. Yeah, internet boom. What have I been saying for months to years out, Abs? But what this whole thing feels like. This whole Web3, it literally feels like 96, 97, 98 all over again. But I think we need the Clarity Act to help kick things off. That's really going to be the linchpin, in my opinion.
Well, guys, I found a tweet from 2013 that really caught my attention this morning. And this thing, can you imagine? This guy tweeted out, Bitcoin was hovering at $1 for ages, and now it's dropped to 68 cents. If I gamble on that sort of thing, I'd be buying right now. Well, if this guy had just put $1 in, Johnny Krypto, that would be worth over $150,000 today. And this should resonate with the XRP community, not because every dollar you invest is going to be 100,000, but because, again, people are so overly focused on the day-to-day price action. I had a phone call with somebody last night. They're debating with me. They're like, I really want to buy XRP at 216, but I really want to get it at 208. And I'm like, why? Right? And this is the exact mistake that we constantly try to tell people to avoid, which is if you wait too long, you miss the opportunity. And if you're greedy during a pump, you don't capitalize on the gains. And here's another example of this, Johnny, is that just a couple of days, and I think I showed you this yesterday, this guy said, I sold at $1.90 to rebuy lower. I ended up selling a whole bag of 750 coins at $1.91 so I could rebuy lower. Is there still a chance that it will go back down, or am I cooked? Is anyone else in the same boat? Now, here's what sticks out to me as a veteran investor. What is he looking for here? Reassurance. Is there still a chance that it could go back down? The copium, the hopium, the schmopium, whatever you'd like to call it, it's high on this one. That's what I'll say about that. People are constantly... And I don't want to be overly critical. Maybe I should dial it back just a little, because maybe this is somebody who's just learning about the space, and that's not the point of this whole breakdown. The point of the breakdown is that I see this mistake made very often, and it's always newer investors. It's never somebody who's been here for 10 years that goes, I'm going to sell at $1.90 and buy it at $1.60. Why? If you were going to take profit, you had a great opportunity in July at 360. You had a great opportunity in September at 280. Why are you selling at $1.90 right now? It's a wrong move. It's an emotional move. And that's what we always try to advocate against here, guys. And I know what's coming. You need to create a profit plan. And this is a reality, guys, because if you don't have a profit plan, you end up getting stuck in the emotions just like this guy is. So if you'd like to, let me know right now. I want to hear from the chat, guys. Is this user cooked? 1 for a yes, 2's for a no. But Johnny, it goes back, like it ties into the initial tweet that I started this whole thing off with, which was that, if I can locate it here, Bitcoin was hovering at $1 for ages. Now it's dropped to 68 cents. Big concern here back in 2013. Fast forward just a couple of years, $1,200, then 20 grand, then 70 grand. Then we reached 126 grand in 2025. So I think this type of thinking should be applied to the Good Evening Crypto community, so you guys don't make the same mistakes that newer investors are constantly making in this market. Johnny, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, Abs, you kind of said it all there. I mean, the whole thing is, I feel bad for this kind of guy, right? Because at the end of the day, this is literally what you and I talk about this show every day. Why we invented Merlin. It's, guys, you don't, and this is the other thing. it's also fear and greed, right? And people doing the opposite. When you're in fear, and that poor guy probably was, he went and he sold. This is why we invented Merlin, guys. Because what do we do, Abs? Remember when it was moving up and price went up to 333? I said, Abs, I'm out. Hit my target. And everybody gave me shit on this channel, right? Oh my God, you're an idiot selling. What are you doing? It's good. No, it's not, right? You got to sell when that see that fear and greed index? When that thing was in green, where it was, and we were at 333 and we were near a fib, I was like, I got to take profits right here. And then guess what? I was buying back in at $2 because I had a profit plan, guys. I had a plan in place. I used Merlin. It was sending me alerts. They're saying, Johnny, this is it. Getting alerts. Targets, got to sell. I went and stuck to it and sold unemotionally, Abs. Everybody else was emotional around me, yelling at me, giving me shit. But I was like, nope, I made a plan. I'm sticking to it. Took my profits, and then I went and bought back in. And that's what we're trying to educate you guys to do. That's why we created the app. Use the app, guys. We've given you the tools. Use them. Click on the link below. It's a free 30-day trial. You can sign up for Merlin, and you can now take that emotion away from you. So now you're not sitting there wondering, Abs, oh my God, is it going to go down to 190 again? I mean, frankly, to be honest with you, there's probably a low probability that's going to happen at this point, right? But you said something also important that I used to do that I no longer do. Nickel and diming is horrible, Abs. I remember I'd be like, oh, things are too tight. I want to get into 206. You know, one day, you know how many times when I was younger, I would watch a stock come down, be within 10 cents of where I wanted it, and then I never get there. And then that thing, some bitch should go off $2, $3, $4, $5 higher. And I'm sitting there going, for 5 cents, I lost $2 or $3 on the upside. I don't do it no more. I don't care. And I might even have a limit in, right? Let's say I have a limit here at $1.90. And I see this thing coming down to $2. I'm not going to take the chance. I'll probably change my order. I'll probably go, hey, you know what? I'm going to pick some up, half of it here at $2, and then I'll leave the other half for $1.90. Why? Because I don't know where the price is going to go. I don't know where the bottom is, and I could care less if I buy it at 206, 191, or it ain't going to matter because where I believe the prices are going, right, much higher in the future, it isn't going to matter if I get it for 4 or 5 cents less. It really doesn't, Abs. And that's the part that I think a lot of people struggle with is they want to be able to maximize their, and I get it, but that's not the way to really think about it. And I want to address this one comment here because I think this is very important. I hear a lot of people saying that, like Johnny and Abs, you guys don't agree with Jake, but yet you share his material. Guys, first of all, that's how life works. Not everybody has to agree with everybody. We're a news channel. We're sharing with you other people's perspectives. And by the way, you all don't think we don't want Jake's theory to come true? You all don't think we don't want it to happen? Maybe just on the timing, we may disagree on when we think it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean we don't want to see it happen. It doesn't mean someday it can't happen. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't play his material or anybody else's material that's talking about XRP. But we're entitled to having our own feelings of when we think it's going to happen. That doesn't make us hypocrites. We're sitting here sharing. We're not saying we completely disagree. We're saying, hey, we have a difference of opinion. We all want Jake to be right. And if he is, great. But we may see the world a little different. That means does that mean Abs, we should never show Jake stuff on the material or anybody else's because we don't necessarily agree with them? We haven't been doing that for 5 years. Why would we change? That would be hypocrisy if we stopped doing what we've been doing. No, we're always going to share with you other people's perspectives. We're going to give you our perspective and we see where the world goes.
Agreed, guys. And I don't get overly concerned. I embrace the negative sentiment, and I think that it's actually a great sign that we're doing things correctly. If everybody was coming on here and agreeing with us, that would be a whole different situation. I like the fact that Jake sees one theory, Mikkel sees one theory, Zach sees one theory, I see one theory, Jake, like everybody can have their own perception of the market. Here's one thing that we all agree on as people who study this space every day. XRP is undervalued. This asset is built to go up and to the right, and we haven't had our euphoric moment where we're breaking all-time highs yet. But here's what I was saying in regards to Jake as well. People want to ask me my opinion about Jake. I respect Jake to the utmost degree. I think he's a class act. I think he communicates extremely well. I think he carries himself extremely well. Just because I don't think XRP is going to be $100 by December 31st doesn't mean that I won't be able to react to his clips or that I shouldn't be able to provide my rational take. So here's the short synopsis. You want a 2-sentence answer? I want Jake to be correct, but I fundamentally disagree with how it's going to play out. But again, I'm rooting for him to be correct. Now let's let this video play one more time. Here's the second half of that clip.
What was available on the OTC desk in the dark pools. As soon as that is gone and we're getting more ETFs, more spot ETFs for XRP are launching, And we still don't have the big dogs at the table yet. We still don't have BlackRock, and we still don't have Vanguard. We still don't have Fidelity. I think they're all coming to the table in the very near future with their spot ETFs for XRP. So that would put, if those three came online, we would have more spot ETFs than Bitcoin. And we, people are like, well, they're only going to buy off the OTC and dark pools, and we're never going to see price appreciation. Strap in because it's not going to last that much longer. We already saw some price movement today. You're going to see some crazy price movement when there's no more available supply through the OTC desk and the dark pools, and they have to go to the exchanges. We already saw a glimmer of this over there on Kraken last week, where we saw XRP at a high of $91, which registered. There's been lots of high prices in the past on BitTrue and Bitstamp and some of these other ones where people video it. But like you go back to look for it and it's not registered. This $91 registered on Kraken.com. So look out. I think a lot of people are going to be very surprised that a lot of what I've been talking about for the past 18 months is going to come to pass here.
Well, guys, first of all, I want to address this. Google says tomorrow 21 shares XRP ETF drops. That was the major topic for today's episode, as 21 shares tweeted out a very ominous tweet to the XRP Army, Johnny. Here's what was said: 1.4 million views. XRP Army, get ready with the salute. Right.
Interesting. Cool. All right. Looks like we got another one joining the party, baby. Again, to me, that's the part I 100% agree with Jake, is the more and more these things come in and eat up the volume, the more and more it's going to get easier to see this thing. I don't know what happens in my throat. The more and more it's going to get easier to see this thing start to take off. And you can kind of see it building the momentum. And you always show the chart all the time where boom, 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 and then bang. And I really think that's what we are getting ready for, a massive spring load to the upside. There's no question about it. And so at the end of the day, listen, man, I totally respect Jake. Jake's a smart guy, built a great business, and he's got his theory. And by the way, the theory's not incorrect. I mean, we brought him on the show and we asked about it and we learned about it. And at the end of the day, those things could happen. But guys, the world also has to go to crap for you may want to kind of careful what you wish for in a thing and just hope that XRP goes where it's going to go. And it can go, I think, without needing all that stuff to happen. So for me, let's just look at it this way, Abs. We are seeing more and more momentum come into this. We're seeing the world waking up to crypto, which really, that's the real message here that everybody should be excited about. Is, 3 years ago, it was almost impossible to want to come into the space without the SEC coming all over you, right? And now that thing is completely changed. And now we're seeing it where the world is open to this thing. They're not scared against it. And I think that's really what makes sense. And, I love our audience. So I'm going to answer this question. So you asked here, Romeo asks, can you break down why would anyone buy ETFs over the actual cryptocurrency? Well, guys, let's say you're a boomer, and I'm not picking on boomers, but I'm just going to use that as an example because I hear a lot of them and they tell me they'd rather buy the ETF than the crypto. Well, if you're a boomer, it's so much easier to just pick up the phone, go to your account and that you already have established, your E-Trade, your Fidelity, Trust, whatever, and you just type in a ticker symbol, XRPC or whatever, and you hit buy. Versus imagine you're a boomer and you're going to this thing Kraken or Coinbase you never heard of. You got to go through setup. You got to do a KYC. You got to take your card and put it in the camera and take a picture, and the thing doesn't work. You hit the set, and then you got to figure out how to get money in the account, and then you got to figure out if you want to send it, how to transfer it. What? No, you can see why there's advantages, right? There's a certain crew or group of people, community in the world that doesn't have the time or want to be bothered with going through the whole process of even figuring out what the hell a cryptocurrency even is. Most people still don't know. They're even buying it, they don't know. They just don't want to miss the party. So, guys, the ETF from that perspective is one of the reasons, hopefully that answers your question, of why people would rather choose an ETF and get exposure to it than trying to figure out how to buy this thing, how to custody it. Then you got to figure out a cold wallet, move it there. No, nobody wants the headaches. And think about this, Abs. With crypto, there's always the potential of getting hacked. With the ETF, you don't have to worry about that. That ain't happening. That's the issuer's problem if they get hacked, right? They've got to deal with that. So that there's a couple of reasons to hopefully answer your question of why somebody would prefer an ETF over an actual cryptocurrency. I hope that helps.
I absolutely agree. And I want to give a shout out to Love Stocks. Love Stocks said, Abs is smarter than wasting his money on a fancy car. He might buy a Gucci belt, but he won't be throwing his money down the drain, right, Abs? Now, everybody who knows me in my personal life knows I'm never buying a Gucci belt. So I'm not, forget about the car. I ain't buying a Gucci belt, my friends. I got other things to spend my money on. I'd rather buy something that appreciates in value as opposed to something I can wear around Walmart and think I'm the man. But if we got 7,500 live listeners. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate each and every single one of you. And Johnny, Ray Fuentes had a great breakdown. My laptop's being a little bit slow this morning, but once again, what I think is coming is exactly what you outlined. Retail investors are tapped out. Institutions are entering this asset class. And maybe the most important thing is that sentiment is at an all-time low. People are exiting this market. Nobody wants a part of this anymore. And I think that's a good thing because the same people who in November and December of last year were asking me to buy XRP, they're now the same people who are saying, oh, good thing I didn't buy any Bitcoin. Good thing I didn't buy any of that asset. And I just feel like every single time that occurs, we're at a relative bottom and things start going up and to the right. I've been in this space long enough to kind of recognize that. Now, I did want to give you guys a brief update here. This is Chad. Do not show that comment. So, and this is the XRP ETF leaderboard here, guys, where Chad Steingraber said, we're now waiting for the next 3 funds, which will create the Magnificent 7 for the XRP ETF. Now, what do we know for sure? We know that 21 Shares is going to be a part of this, but we don't know what are those other 2 companies. Is it going to be Wisdom Tree? That's my big one because they got 100 billion, but Pro Shares, which not a lot of people know, not a very familiar name, 70 billion in assets under management, almost twice the size of Grayscale. So there's some huge players ready to enter this market. And as you guys can see, in just 8 days, we have seen nearly 300 million units of XRP be absorbed from the exchanges in the OTC desks. That's a fact. Now, we can debate when will that begin to impact the price of XRP because now it's with the ETF, so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is we're witnessing the inflows now. And I've been really excited about this moment here because once again, Johnny, remember what I used to say back in September? When these ETFs are live, we're going to actively track the inflows. We're going to be able to watch how much money comes in. We're going to be able to see the institutional demand and stop speculating and just report the data. That's kind of where we are now. So now we're in this phase of reporting the data and seeing how it impacts the XRP price chart towards the back end of the year. Big thank you to the $10 donation here. And a member, Hoddle Honey, said, been in since 2017 and everything you guys have said has come true. Just hold on for dear life. Excited for the future. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Keep up the great work and love this channel. Thank you so much, not only for the $10 donation, but guess what? You just made seriously buy $10 for the XRP treasury. So shout out to you.
Nice.
Right?
Right? That's right. Good point, Abs. Nice.
Any comments there, John?
Yeah, first of all, first of all, thank you for the comment. We are not always right, but we are usually pretty accurate. We've been pretty close to right most of the times. And at the end of the day, the real key to winning in this space is having the persistence and also retraining your brain. And you really have to start thinking about the fear as the buy. And I almost want to rewrite the fear and greed next. Where it says buy, I just want to be like, this is where you when it says greed, you want to sell. When it says fear, you want to buy. And it's just that simple. And if people start getting that, GEC Treasury, there we go. We should build one of those apps. That's a good idea. But anyway, I kind of really feel like we are really, really on the precipice of this thing changing around. And again, this is the time to be buying when it doesn't feel good. And that will, I think, that's what, remember, Coach says all the time, Zeb, remember? Bear markets make millionaires, not bull markets, right? You have to get positioned in this thing ahead of time. And, whenever you get the opportunity, whenever all the sentiment around you guys feels bad, that's when the big boys are buying. And, whether the big players come in, by the way, Pro Shares, just so you know, Abs, they're a pretty big player. I've been buying Pro Shares ETFs for years. That would be, we see them coming in. So I think from that perspective, there is still going to be more to come. Whether the big players come or not, only time is going to tell. But the reality is we now have a good 5, 6, 7. There'll be a bunch more of these coming, Abs, that's going to continue to do the same thing. And that's take supply off the shelf and put it in more stable hands, kind of almost like diving. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some outflows. Yes, people are going to sell, but the majority of people that buy ETFs, Abs, typically hold on to them for the long term. And they want for the price appreciation, right? And because right now I think Trump has brought a lot of attention to the crypto space. That's got a lot of investors thinking, hey, if Trump's going to drive this thing up, I want exposure to it. Well, what's the best way to get it? It's the ETFs. And that's why I'm excited about them. And I think long-term, they can have an impact. But really, it's going to be the next liquidity event. that I think is going to drive this market up. And don't take my word for it. Take Raoul Paul. So you want to talk about a guy who's been pretty much spot on. He literally said we would see a pullback of 35%. You're going to feel like it's over. The whole world thinks it's over. Right now, that's where we are, or just were last weekend. And yet what happened? Did we keep going down? Not yet, not as of yet. We started to kind of level up and go build for the next leg up. And I think in the end, we're going to see Raoul Paul was right, and everybody's going to be kicking themselves, going, what was I thinking? Why didn't I buy? Well, you didn't buy because your emotions are still controlling your. But when you switch it, like me and Abs, and you look at it and go, oh, man, I love when the whole world is negative on it. That's when you start changing the game for yourself, and you're going to start winning in investing.
Well, listen, Charles said that would be perfect. Abs wearing a Gucci belt around Wally World to look cool. Now, here's what I would say. If you do see me in a Gucci belt, it ain't the real thing, right? I went to that counterfeit store. I got a little $50 Gucci belt for myself. Now, of course, I'm joking and I'm messing around here, guys. But somebody commented, there was a good comment here if I could find it. Somebody said, Abs, do you own Ripple Private Equity? I do not. I have no exposure to Ripple Private Equity. I have no communication with Ripple, never talked to any Ripple representatives or anything like that. And I got no NDAs. So you're looking at an open book here, guys. For anybody who thinks, we're not just real, regular, everyday people.
Well, no.
We are.
For disclosure, I do have Ripple. I did buy the IPO on Link2. We'll see if I get it, because with Link2, who knows what's happening right now. But just for full disclosure, because we're 100% transparent on this channel, I actually do have some Ripple shares. And so certainly I would like to see, because remember, guys, for our newbies here, remember this, Ripple, the company, and we talk about this all the time, and XRP, the coin, they are two separate things. When you buy XRP, you don't own the profits and the growth potential of where the Ripple stock could go someday, right? And vice versa. So if you want exposure to both, and if you believe in both, like I did, I love the Ripple senior management team. I mean, Abs, how could you not love Brad and David Schwartz? I know David's not there anymore. Brad and David and Stuart and Monica. I mean, there's such a stellar leadership team. Like, I want exposure to them. I want exposure if they ever go public. Of course, they got so much money. I'm not so sure they're going to. But if they do, I want that exposure. So full transparency there, guys. That's how we're playing the game.
So again, yeah, full transparency. I'm a regular everyday person. Johnny's a CIA operative, but there's a healthy balance here on the Good Evening Crypto program. Now, of course, if you don't have a sense of humor, that was a joke, my friends. But we got 8,600 people here.
Could you imagine me in the CIA? I don't think they'd let me in. Like, you're too short. You can't. I didn't think they'd let me in the CIA.
That's awesome. I'm just kidding, guys. Of course, we're just messing around. And this weekend, we're going to be getting together, me and Johnny. So if you're a member, we're going to do a members update for you all. I'm also going to provide some insight for our members in regards to some price action. I got something pretty cool prepared for you all. We do have 232 members. So I do want to give a massive thank you to every single member of the Good Evening Crypto community. We just launched those memberships about 2-3 weeks ago. You get exclusive updates on Sunday mornings. You get priority in chat. You get all your comments answered. And like I said, when we do these in-person events like XRP Las Vegas, some of the other crypto conferences we'll be attending, you're going to get exclusive updates for the members only as well. So check it out, guys. You might find it cool. It's less than a cup of coffee a month. And more importantly, it's totally optional. If you're interested, great. If you're not interested, great as well. But because we appreciate the fact that you guys just show up to the show. Johnny, comment there?
Yeah, listen, guys, if you want to join the GEC Mafia or whatever you guys want to call it, come join out the memberships. You're going to get behind the scenes. You're going to get behind the scenes stuff when Abs and I are together. You're going to get private videos on Sundays. We give a personal update, kind of our take, what we're doing, that kind of a thing. So you get a little more detail there. Plus, you help support the channel so we can keep bringing you this content every day. So you just click on the join button right below this video. That'd be awesome. We're trying to get to 1,000 members. So if you could help us achieve that goal, that would be fantastic. And we know with this community, we can get there. So we love you guys and I appreciate you guys. And hope you can help us get there.
Shout out to Johnny Krypto. Now, Johnny, I know something. The McRib indicator is back.
Yes.
And I want to give a shout out to Pablo Hernandez because he said, and you guys know why Johnny's celebrating. He starts every day with a McRib and a Diet Coke. But he says, like I've been saying, the market will go up now because the McRib is back. And what's funny, guys, is this is an actual indicator for the crypto market where every time the McRib comes back on the McDonald's menu, not only is Johnny in the drive-thru 2, 3, 4 times a day, but on top of that, the price charts are also going up. So it's pretty exciting. And I do want to give a huge shout out and thank you. Now, today's user poll, the question we asked you all, and you're going to find this interesting, Johnny, does XRP flip Ethereum in 2026? 83% say yes. 17% say no. That's out of 1,515 votes. My anticipation is, guys, if Clarity Act comes in, we see this big liquidity wave, it's in the cards, right? And I've been very outspoken about the fact that I think there will be a day when XRP passes Ethereum to become the top altcoin in the crypto space. It's just really difficult to decide if that's going to happen in the next 6 months. That's going to take 18 months.
Right.
We'll have to see how that kind of plays out. And a big thank you to Chris, another brand new member. Let us know some of your feedback, guys, on the exclusive updates.
Hey, we got to smash the like button whenever we get a new member on the show. That's it. That's for you, Chris. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. And we love, by the way, just for the record, because I know when Ab says shit, you guys all believe him. No, I haven't eaten McDonald's. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I love the McRib. I love the filet of fish. I haven't eaten them in 10 or 15 years because we all know it's not even real. It's not even real rib meat. It's fake. It's like a mold. They pressed it all together. It was so disappointing when I figured sometimes you don't want to learn the truth, right? At the end of the day, but it's always best to do that. But no, we appreciate you. Thank you for hopping on board. And you know what, Abs? I'm not surprised. At the end of the day, with the Clarity Act coming in and a lot of money coming in, it will be interesting to see, this battle between number two. Like, can XRP get above it? And the reality is, like, I don't know about you, but have you seen much of Vlad recently? I mean, I haven't seen him around that much. Or not Vlad. What the heck? The Ethereum founder there. What the heck's his name? I draw a blank right now.
Vitalik.
Yeah, Vitalik. That Vlad. I meant Vitalik. I haven't seen. Remember, like 4 years ago, he was in the news. You always heard about. Dude, he's like a ghost. Where is he? You don't see nothing no more. But
I see him. He's done a few interviews.
But he's not like Brad. Brad's everywhere, bro. You can't not run into Brad, right? You just can kind of feel the momentum shifting. You can kind of see, XRP is here to stay and play. And for me, it would not surprise me. It would be great someday when we pass and become number two. And then the interesting thing was, if those big boys haven't come in yet, will they then come in? Man, then you want to talk about catalysts to bring us to challenge Bitcoin. But I think we still have a long way to go before that happens.
I completely agree, guys. And Johnny, thank you so much for jumping on live. We did just pass 1 hour on today's episode. If you enjoyed the content, the live like counter, we are at 804 likes. So huge thank you to you all and all the new members. I did see we got the average golfers in Idaho becoming a new member. Shout out to all the average golfers out there. Now, I'm very honest, very great. I like to think I have good self-awareness. I'm not an average golfer. I am a below average golfer, but I still get out there. I like to get the tan, and I hate the sound of that button in the microphone. But here's the reality, guys. We got another new member, David J8867. I'm going to have to keep listening to it as long as the members keep coming in. So
members keep coming. If you guys want to annoy Abs, just keep signing up, and I'll keep smashing the like button. No, I mean, Abs, I always got this one. I'm not sure you want me to smash that one every time we get it.
You know what's the best thing, guys? I got this one. And shout out to you all. If you enjoyed today's content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Of course, I'm just giving my buddy a hard time on this Sunday morning. Someone said Abs hates hour-long shows. I don't. Guys, if you remember, all my long-term listeners here, back in early 2025, my average show was 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours and 10 minutes on average for the first 6 months. Now, obviously, I started doing 2 videos a day, dialed it back a little bit, but I love doing the long-form content, especially when Johnny Krypto's in the house, guys. But if you enjoyed today's show, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Massive thank you for all the donations, all the new memberships that we received. Go out, enjoy your Thanksgiving, enjoy a day with your friends and family. And XRP Timester gifted a subscription. Huge shout out to you as well. This guy is always gifting subscriptions. Massive thank you to the XRP Timester 1979 in chat. Now, final comment for today, guys. Go out, touch some grass, hug some family, enjoy Thanksgiving. We're not going to have the live in the morning, but we are going to have a 5:30 p.m. update. So I'm excited about that. We love you all. We appreciate you all. And we'll see you in the next one.
You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. See, the bottom line is...
So if you're looking to do the same strategies that we implement here on Good Evening Crypto, I would advise everybody sign up for Merlin and click on the ITrust Capital link below. Now, why did these two ideas play off one another? Merlin is going to allow our listeners to understand where they should be taking profit in this market. And ITrust is going to allow our listeners to take that profit tax-free through an IRA product. Now, that's not the best part about this. we are giving new clients a $100 sign-up bonus using the promo code GEC9. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link below the video, use promo code GEC9, and set yourself up for success during this crypto bull market.
Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news.
But the challenge, as you know well, is the U.S. has had this very hostile, the Biden administration